As much as I enjoy the original PlayStation, I can admit that I don't have a lot of experience playing games on it. There are some of the staples like the Final Fantasy games that I have spent multiple hours on, but growing up, most of my time with the console was with sports games that were rented for a weekend from video rental stores. So whenever I get to play something from this time that I haven't played before, I look forward to what I encounter. Rushdown is one of those games I never heard of until recently, so why not review it? Rushdown has an interesting premise. Instead of just one sport, you get three. Sort of. Kayaking, snowboarding, and mountain biking are all at show here. The goal of the game is to make it through the championship, completing races in 4 continents and 1 country. Apparently Japan was special enough to get its own course. Sorry Africa, I guess you're not good enough to have a standout country. In any case, after choosing either the championship or a single run, you get to choose the character and gear you wish to use. There are different stats for each piece of equipment, such as speed and handling, so it's not just cosmetic. At first, I tended to lean towards the more well-rounded gear, but after a few runs, I switched to a better handling set. That's because the controls are the biggest hurdle to the game. Before I get into that though, let's talk about the goal of the game. You start at the top of a track and race to the bottom in either a kayak, snowboard, or bike. Get to the finish line before your opponent, and you win. Bet you couldn't have figured that out, huh? Each area has 1 track per discipline, so you'll probably be seeing the same backdrop a few times until you move on to the next part of the world. Not that this matters, because the game actually looks pretty good for its time. Trees have enough detail on them to be impressive, hazards that line the track are easily recognizable, and the water looks absolutely amazing. Seriously, I was blown away by the way the water looks in the game. It's the small things that amuse me. But the visuals aren't going to keep your attention away from the race for long, because your opponents won't let you just sightsee. Well, make that opponent. That's right, there is only one opposing racer that you'll be competing against. Every race in the game is a simple head-to-head battle. Well, that's kind of disappointing. To accommodate this, you don't simply win by finishing first in each race. Instead, the game takes a rally-like approach in that both you and your opponent are timed. The person who completes the entire circuit faster is the one that wins. This means that as long as you have a really nice, solid race at some point, you can get second on the other 2 legs and still come out on top. I don't hate this mechanic, but having more opponents still would have made the game a bit more fun. Now back to those pesky controls I mentioned before. Overall, they're solid enough, but you'll quickly find that turning is incredibly stiff. You can mash on left or right on the directional pad as hard as you can, but you'll still only slightly veer in that direction. Instead, what you're supposed to do is hold square to do what's called a hard turn. This acts almost like an emergency brake, and oftentimes leads you to stop completely. This is not the best mechanic for a game like this, as you might be racing down a hill at a good clip, then hit square to make a sharper turn, and then have to build your speed back up. I can kinda see this for the kayaking, but for the snowboarding and mountain biking, I feel like turning should have been a bit looser. I've never kayaked or snowboarded, so I can't say from experience on that, but I know bikes turn much easier even at speed. So having to do this hard brake kind of annoyed me a bit. What's worse is that the terrible braking means that dodging obstacles could be a challenge all in itself. Thinking that you're going to be able to dodge that driftwood or insanely large cone? Think again if you can't turn in time. What's worse, hitting obstacles may cause you to ricochet back and forth between other obstacles, wasting valuable time and allowing your opponent to either get ahead further or being able to bridge the gap. And don't even think about trying to race dirty by hitting your opponent. By doing so, you will normally fall to the ground or capsize, again leading to you needing to play catch up. With all that said, Rushdown is still normally pretty fun. At least, at first. The opening races are easy enough, allowing you to get grips on how each piece of gear handles. But in subsequent events, the AI racer gets more and more aggressive, with more obstacles on the courses that you'll need to evade. By the time you hit the 3rd event, the opponent gets flat out unforgiving, to the point that I couldn't even win to move on to continent number 4. Not to say I wasn't having a bit of fun playing it, but that difficulty spike really killed the mood. But that's the thing with Rushdown, there's just not much to the game. 15 total races is fine and all, but when each can be completed in about 2 to 3 minutes, that's less than an hour's worth of content for the entire campaign. Sure, multiplayer is an option, and I bet it would be fun, but I just wish there was more to the game. Even saying that though, Rushdown is still a solid playing game, at least when you get the controls down. Having 3 different modes of transportation is a great way to break up the gameplay, if even slightly. Each of the tracks has its own look and feel, and the amazing water graphics make the somewhat boring kayaking sections worth playing. I'd recommend Rushdown, as long as you know that if you can complete the championship, there's really not much to do afterwards. Final score? 4 out of 7. This is Reaper. Happy fragging.